Welcome to Teams Transformed, the podcast for people who want to see real team transformation.
For courageous coaches, curious leaders, and anyone passionate about unlocking the true power of teams.
We're your hosts, Georgina
and Allard.
Here to journey with you through transformational insights on how to coach teams with presence, depth, and emergence.
Let's explore not just the tools, but the art of transforming teams. Welcome to episode 5, where we talk about one-on-one coaching sessions as part of the team coaching journey that we're on with the executive team of Acme Inc. as part of this series called the Team Coaching Journey, where teams come alive. So Georgina and I have been doing some one-on-one coaching with the 8 team members, as well as John, the team leader, so the 9 people. I'm roughly coaching half of the team, and Georgina has been coaching the other half. And we debrief. We get together and compare our experience over the last couple of weeks. What have we learned about the team? To what extent have we been able to help the different team members set learning goals for themselves that are in service of the team's learning goals? And we conclude the episode by talking about a few things that we have learned about one-on-one coaching as part of a team coaching assignment, when to do it, when not, and how to do it well. From our point of view, at least. So we offer some of our do's and don'ts towards the end of this. Hope you enjoy it as much as you've been enjoying the previous sessions. See you soon. Hi, everyone. Welcome to episode 5 of this series of podcasts called the Team Coaching Journey, where teams come alive. We talk about this notion. We've been talking about this notion of a journey from the beginning, because remember, team coaching is rarely a one-off session. Transformation takes time, and time means different stages and interventions. And we thought we'd shed some light on what those interventions might actually look like. So we speak of a journey, not necessarily the journey, because there's different ways to go about this. But we share a model here with you that you should obviously feel free to adapt and build from. Over the course of this journey, we are working with the executive team of Acme Incorporated. Now, Acme Incorporated, as you can probably guess, is a composite, but we're talking about them as if they were a real team, even though they're based on many different experiences over the last years. And you're coming alongside us. We're taking you with us into the room and into our debriefs, and we're going to try to keep this as authentic as possible, even though, as I said, we're pulling from different experiences, not just from one actual occurrence. And as we do that, we'll explain why we do what we do each step of the way, and hopefully provide you with a bit of learning and insight, and maybe some new questions. So how did this all begin, George? Do you remember where we began a few episodes ago?
Yeah, we began with initial contact, the first email or phone calls that happen, because it really begins as soon as that begins. We're starting to encounter the system of the team. We then had a team engagement session like a chemistry session, where we met with the whole team.
Yep.
And we talk about that in episode 2. And then we went on to have a team launch.
Yeah.
And we talk about both team launch and then subsequent conversations with the chief executive that then informed
a learning agenda of sorts.
Learning agenda, yeah.
Yeah. At least for now, right? Subject to change. But there's different points on that learning agenda, like leadership, clarity around vision and goals, designing a process for dealing with conflicts and differences in an effective manner. And also the need to really make contact with each other, which is something that emerged out of that, out of the whole team launch. So, and as a result, so we didn't just end up with a bit of a learning agenda. We also concluded the team launch saying that we would start some one-on-one coaching with the team members. So we've already had a bit of, one-on-one work with John, the CEO, but we're now looking at the other 8 members of the team: Mary, Kel, Helen, Jazz, Noah, Ava, Dan, and Doug, as we've called them. And George, you were going to coach half of them one-on-one, and I was going to coach the other half one-on-one, because it's either everyone or no one.
Yeah.
And of course I maintain my one-on-one work with the CEO alongside that as well. So one-on-one coaching is not always a part of a team coaching intervention, but in the example that we're discussing here, it is, to make the whole, to give you a picture that is as complete as possible. And today, Georgina and I are debriefing that one-on-one coaching that's been going on over the last couple of weeks,
Yes.
and see where we go from there, right?
That's right. And then after our debrief, let's talk a little bit about some guidelines about one-on-one coaching as part of team coaching, because in our in our webinars and discovery sessions that we hold, it's one of the things we get loads of questions about. So I think it'd be great to come back to that.
Yep.
But first of all, let's begin our debrief. And as usual, be mindful of our self, team and situation lens, so that we're scanning through those three lenses as we're making sense of our encounters with the team.
Yeah.
So I've had my 4 coaching sessions with the 4 people in the team
Terrific.
that I'm coaching one-on-one. I've only had 1 session with each so far.
Yeah.
How about you? How many sessions have you had?
Same, exactly the same. I've had to chase one of them, surprisingly, because I thought they would all be putting pressure on me, but
Right.
but there was one of them that I'm sitting with a bit of a question mark around their commitment now, but we'll see. And so I had 1 session with each, i.e. 4 one-on-one coaching sessions as well. Yeah, about an hour each. Yeah.
Mine were an hour and a half, actually, because I wanted to just spend a bit more time slowing down the contact and getting to know each other and getting into really my style, my way of coaching. But I'm curious, Al, how do these sessions leave you feeling? How are you feeling about the team and the individuals in the team now?
Overall, an overall very positive feeling of really wanting to contribute to the team's success. But I had to work with that positioning a little bit, because I noticed that I'm going to just generalize, but my coachees came into these one-on-one sessions wanting to focus on personal success, I would call it, rather than team success. So there was quite a bit of my personal agenda for this coaching. This one-on-one coaching is as follows. And so I had to redirect and reposition this a little bit in terms of, whatever one-on-one coaching we do, it has to be in service of the team's effectiveness, the team's success, which of course hopefully goes hand in hand with your own success. But for example, one of them really has been, eyeing a promotion for the last 2.5 years, and sitting with a bit of frustration around why he hasn't been promoted, even though other people on the team have, or in his immediate surroundings. And so there was a bit of desire to work around, that, a bit of a personal branding plan, so to speak, to shine the light on him. And I said, well, that's not really what this is about.
Interesting. I mean, first of all, I noticed you said there was quite a bit of a pause before you talked when I asked you how you felt about it, and it was a bit like, yeah, good, but
Yeah.
and I had a bit of the same in people showed up. I didn't have to chase people to get the sessions in. And they were there and eager and at least interested in coaching. Some were eager. Some had had coaching before and really valued it. But like you, there was a strong pull towards wanting to talk about their individual agendas, and then there's another generalism. But the people I was coaching, they wanted to talk about the teams they lead. And when they were talking about my team, and I explored that and said, who's in your team? They then started describing their direct reports.
Yeah.
So that was really interesting. There was the sense of who is the team, and the team being the executive team wasn't there, and I had to bring in, let's hold between us and contract around this, that our work together is about the executive team and your contribution towards that team's effectiveness. And I got nods to that, and then the conversation veered back outside to other team members, and so it's early stages where I would say in their Margot's, they're more in their sense of who they are in this organisation. They're identified more with their role as leading their own team than as a team member.
Yeah.
Which I think is incredibly common if you don't have a really compelling collective team purpose and really clear team goals that the team's focused on together. That's probably what I would focus on as a team member.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And it goes to what it also, I think, underscores is this need for ongoing contracting. Because everything that you're describing, and I think what I've been describing are also examples of recontracting along the way to make sure that we stay on track.
Yes.
And these are things that we honestly didn't know when we started the work with Acme.
Yeah.
Right. These are things that Anyway, so I'm glad we caught that, and that we were able to. Well, anyway, I think we've been sending the same messages to the different team members, which is good.
You know, I have a build on that, Al. You remember this came out of a recent diploma session we were running, which was, we've talked about always be contracting for quite some time, and I'm really for that. There's also always be contacting. And
say more about that. I like the sound of that. Always be contacting. You know,
yes, a new idea, really. I mean, we've talked about contact for a long time, but actually always be contacting. And as I'm thinking about that with my one-to-one coachees, I found that most of them had difficulty staying in contact with their here and now experience. Some, agitation, deflection, some desensitization, which comes up when I ask a question. They go, I don't know, I'll have to reflect on that. I'll come back to it. Yeah. Not in contact with themselves, and more in the head, I would say, than really in the here and now. So there's one of the figures for me is staying with contact throughout our work together, because it's so alien for many people. I think we'll probably be working with that for quite some time. It's not like one session, tick, we've done contact. It'll run throughout.
Well said.
And how did that play out with your team members? Did you have a similar experience, or was it different?
No. There's the conversations in general tend to want to go to, from here and now to then and there.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of talk about, there was some talk about their line management responsibilities, their vertical teams. But then there was also quite a bit of talk about other members on the executive team that, of course, were not present in these one-on-one conversations. Yeah. And so I had to work a little bit at that. Because at one point I started to have questions around confidentiality and the boundaries of confidentiality, George, because they were telling me things about, examples of past experiences with one or two other members on the team, for example, and how that's still alive for them today. And so I found myself wondering at that point, I found myself wondering at one point about the boundaries of confidentiality. Is, in my one-on-one coaching, it's always what happens between the coach and the coachee. It stays between the coach and the coachee. But at one point, I found myself expressing the following to one of my team members. I said, "Look, whatever you share with me here you have to be willing to share that with with the rest of the team when we're together next? Because I don't want to be. I felt myself getting really uncomfortable being pushed into some kind of a messenger, a go-between kind of role, right? Where all of a sudden now I know all these different things about personal politics between different team members, but that the team or even you may not be aware of. Does that make
Yes,
sense?
it does. Yes, I had a similar conversation, said, I'm really glad you're sharing that with me. And my role is to really help you work out and to rehearse ways of bringing that into the team coaching, either by way of a direct conversation between you and the other team member, or in the team forum, depending what's coming out. So yeah, setting the boundaries of confidentiality. And the other boundary was the boundary of what our work is, and that two of my coachees have personal coaches that they work with, and they were wondering about that. And I said to them, that's fine, because your work with them, that's where you can talk about how you exercise leadership with the team that you lead, and your career development and your career progress. Our work is about your contribution to team effectiveness, which is different.
Yeah.
And so that was a helpful boundary to set too.
Yeah. And so, did you end up with, or did your coachees end up with some individual kind of learning goals in service of the team's learning goals?
Well, to some degree, I know that's what we agreed up front in the design, that we would focus our early sessions on trying to clarify individual learning goals in service of the team.
Yeah.
But, I found some team members, perhaps not unsurprisingly, but found them very unself-aware. And without that self-awareness, I asked team members, how self-aware are you? How would you describe yourself? And how aware are you of what others think of you?
Yeah.
And how aware are you of the impact you have on others? And generally, I'd say that the awareness was really low, Al, and people were more prepared to talk about their awareness of others.
Yeah.
Especially John. I'll talk about, I'm happy to talk about John's strengths, and especially what I think his weaknesses are and how he could do better as a leader. But self-awareness was low. So I think that's a key figure that's coming through. And of course, as we're working at the team level with the team as a whole, we have a really good opportunity to start bringing that awareness of feedback of how each person's perceived into perhaps the next coaching session. That's the thing that emerged strongly for me. So I think we started that work about individual learning goals, but I think people are not really clear yet, and they're picking things like, still attach to their own team. I want to become a better leader of my own team.
Yeah.
And you could argue that being a better leader of their own team will make them a better leader in the organization. But I think the awareness of being a member of the team that we're coaching, the executive team, is so low that it's quite a lot of work to get and keep their minds there. That was, my general theme, I would say. How about you?
Yeah. And that goes back to contact again, right? Because they find it difficult to make contact with their own kind of learning needs. And
Yes.
And so you and I sometimes, well, not just you and I, but you and I like to talk about interruptions to contact, right? Or things that stand in the way of making contact. And so I listened to you talk about John, and I kind of had the same thing with, who was it? I think with Noah, actually, was one of the other one that I found them deflecting from their own development as a strategy, so to speak, to not make to not make contact with their own development needs.
Yes.
Deflecting towards
Deflecting. Other people.
other people's needs. Yeah.
Yes, and some projecting on others. John should be more clear. John doesn't. I've one person said I've talked with him. I've told John my feelings about another team member, and he hasn't done anything.
Yeah.
Pushing everything up to John as the parent to deal with, but avoiding having those direct conversations.
Yeah.
So absolutely contact.
So I think I kind of arrived at a similar place that you did with your coachees. That there's a bit more clarity around individual learning goals, but not fully formed yet. But I did ask them to finalize that work and show up willing at the next team coaching session. Show up willing to share those individual learning goals with the rest of the team.
And a build on that for me would be to share their individual learning goals and ask for feedback from team members. And that could look like, asking your team members, what's the biggest thing, the one big thing that you see as the opportunity for me, my development area in service of being a more effective member of this team.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of getting to the one thing. I think feedback gets lost or diluted if there's too much of it.
Yeah.
But it'd be interesting, at the start of our next session to see where they're at. So I wonder, Al, if we might begin the next session after our usual check-in with, we could either start by asking them that open coaching question of, given we've all had one-to-one coaching sessions and what came out of the team launch, what do you think is we need to focus on in today's session? That's one option. Well, the other one is that we do the check-in and then you and I do a fishbowl where we're talking about self-awareness, the need to raise awareness and be aware of our impact on each other, and offer to them the idea of this idea we've had of sharing their development goals.
Yeah.
And getting some feedback from each other.
I've just written it down, so because I've just captured it. I think that's a great idea.
Yeah.
And so I didn't want to lose that.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I guess if they go, well, yeah, but you should have told us up front so we could have prepared for it. We've got 2 days with them next time, which is brilliant because we've got that overnight time where they can make more contact. So if they need that, we can give them some time in the first morning, time individually to prepare more.
Yeah.
Hear what I think my individual learning is, and here's the feedback I want to give others.
Yeah. And I've given them a heads up anyway. But I may just reinforce that prior to the next meeting anyway. Get in touch with them real quick. Yeah.
So the themes we're working on is contact and awareness.
Yeah.
And the other one was about leadership clarity and the team's purpose and goals. And I know we got quite a long way with that in the team launch. But do you remember at the end they said they were going to do some more work on that between the sessions and really clarify and write down what their purpose is and their goals as a team. We might check in on that and see how they're doing on that.
Yeah.
Where they've got to. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And so we can start, planning not just for the next coaching session, but for the next coaching sessions and agree on what we think might be possible themes for those different coaching sessions. Because there's still that issue of, how do we deal with conflict and disagreement and difference in our team? That's going to, that's still figural in somewhere. That's not going away.
Well,
So once the container is a bit stronger, that's maybe
yes,
something that we can work
and
on.
start allowing the heat or dialing the heat up a
Y-
bit
Yeah, I like that.
and
Yeah,
working in real time around conflict, staying in
yeah.
contact during conflict. Hey, before we close off the debrief on this, I'm curious how your one-to-one was with John, and if there's anything that we need to explore there to inform our next session.
No, nothing particular. I think John was very happy with the way the team launch went, and I think he's been getting some feedback from different members of the team subsequent to that, some positive reinforcement, and people enjoyed him showing up with a certain amount of vulnerability and courage and openness to learning. And so I think he set a really good example and for the rest of the team, and wants to continue doing that. He doesn't, he looks back to the team launch with positive feelings.
And to what degree is he getting? Was he clear on his development as a leader, his individual development and focus for your coaching?
No, well, he's very much focused on making sure that he provides the team with clearer leadership,
Yeah,
a better communication, and less assuming that the team are on board or know as much as he knows, and
right.
so he's I think he said at one point that he realized he needed to slow down to go faster.
Yeah.
I thought that was a beautiful insight.
Oh, yeah.
Slowing down to go faster, which
So
is very counterintuitive for him.
yes, I know the feeling. I have another idea. So I wonder about having another conversation with John before the next team coaching session, to think about how he wants to bring that live into the here and now in the room, his development, the clarity that he wants to bring
Yeah,
to the leadership.
yeah,
And the reason I say that is, in my experience, sometimes if we don't have that conversation, sometimes team leaders show up in team coaching sessions with somebody's told them to take a back seat
yeah,
and let the team do all the talking. And given that the team want more leadership from John at this stage,
yeah.
we kind of want to support him in getting in and practicing clarity.
Made
Fantastic.
a note of that as well. So yeah, I like how this is all coming together. And I just wanted to say how incredibly happy I am, seriously, that we're doing this assignment together. I'm sure either one of us could have done it by ourselves,
Yes.
right? But the value of these debriefs is humongous.
Absolutely. Thank you for saying that. And I do find it's so easy to get overwhelmed with data points in the system and dynamics.
Yeah,
It's much easier when we're doing the debriefs as a way of informing where we go next. So
yeah,
yeah, I'm with
yeah,
you on.
yeah. And I know it's not always possible, right? There's not there's not always budget, I would say, available to
Yeah.
have the two of us there. But what a difference it makes when there is. And I think otherwise I'd be talking to my supervisor about some of these things. Quite sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, we'll still do that when we have conversations with our supervisor.
Yeah.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. So before we
So
close off this episode today, let's
yeah.
take a few minutes to think about one-to-one coaching as part of team coaching. And what have we learned as some guidelines or parameters that we operate by?
And hopefully we made some of these visible throughout the debrief we just had. But I think the overall concern for me is to ensure that the one-on-one coaching stays connected to and relevant to the overall team coaching assignment that we've been contracted for. And so
Yes.
that means, so that has an impact on the agenda, so to speak, of the one-on-one coaching.
Yeah. That's really important. And, I'm a huge fan of doing one-to-one coaching alongside team coaching. I know there's some authors and speakers about team coaching who say the opposite. They say you absolutely shouldn't do one-to-one coaching as part of team coaching because the client's the team. I'm
Yeah.
a huge fan because I believe that team effectiveness is constrained by people whose behavior is not developed to the capacity it needs to be relationally to be able to get in the room and collaborate effectively as a team. A lot of people just haven't had that development. What has been developed is their thinking capacity, or their knowledge or their expertise. So we can talk about a team's purpose and team goals and team behaviors all we like. But a team coaching environment sometimes doesn't give enough time for somebody to really process their beliefs around how they're showing up in the team. For example, one of the team members in the team we've been debriefing talked about how she's a real people pleaser. And we went deep into where that came from and how she grew up being trained really to be a people pleaser and how deeply rooted that is in her. And so she finds it very difficult to not, to shift from wanting to please John in particular as the chief exec. Yeah. It's like pleasing that imagined parent. Well, that's not something that we want to.
Is that Helen? Was that Helen or Jazz?
Yeah, that's Helen. Yeah. And it's not something we want to force her to go into her childhood history, in front of the whole team. This is background work to do with her, with compassion and time.
Yeah.
So I'm a big fan of that one-to-one work and that space for deeper personal development alongside.
And then I agree with you, and I would advocate for either everyone or no one.
Yes.
It's like, I think it'd be a bad idea to go do individual coaching with 3 of the 8 team members, or 4, but not the other 4, because then there's always this lingering question around why me, or why her and not me.
I learned that the hard way one time when I was coaching a team where only one team member didn't want coaching and was already working with somebody, and I agreed to that. And it created a really weird dynamic because I had these one-to-one coaching sessions where I was, close with all the team members, including the team leader, except for this one person. And it was a real lesson to me about that. That did not create a helpful dynamic for the team's development. And so, yes, I agree with you on that one. And then, something else I say is, let's keep up the momentum. So sessions 4 weeks apart, 6 max. Yeah. Otherwise, that fizzle effect happens and everything we've talked about in one session just disappears. And we spend half the session just trying to get into relationship again.
Yeah. Yeah, and last but not least on my list is that notion of confidentiality that we discussed in our debrief, that we draw the line of confidentiality not just around the one team member and ourselves, but that the boundary of confidentiality includes the whole team, so that yes, the coachee can bring what they want, but we want to be careful that we don't become the messengers.
Yes.
Or the go-betweens. Yeah, it really is. Yeah.
Yeah. I guess that speaks to a deeper learning that I've had over the years of 26 years of working as a team coach now, is that their issues and tensions are not my problem to solve. And I think when I started out, I would hear all the concerns and complaints and worries of individual team members, as well as the team as a whole, and take it all on board and kind of feel like that was now my responsibility to solve. And I think what we're practicing here is how do we hold it lightly and keep the awareness and responsibility with the team.
Yeah. And make it clear to them that and make it clear to them that we can support them as an individual in bringing whatever is on their mind into the larger group, into the larger, into the room.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So that concludes really this episode around one-on-one coaching sessions as a part of this particular team coaching journey that we've been describing and will continue to describe. And see you in a few weeks for episode 6, at which time we'll be, as we hinted at, we'll be talking about the next few team coaching sessions and how to prepare for those and how to bring in what we've learned so far and keep contacting and keep contracting with the team as their learning unfolds.
Exactly. I'm looking forward to it.
See you in a couple of weeks.
See you.
If you liked this episode, you will love our free ebook, Beyond the Blueprint, a guide to emergent team coaching. It's the ultimate resource for leaders and coaches driving true team transformation. Grab your copy via the link in the show notes, hit follow, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks for joining today's journey of Teams Transformed.
If this sparked a new insight or a deeper question, we invite you to sit with it, not to solve it, but to let it unfold.
For resources, community, and reflection prompts, visit teamcoachingstudio.com.
Until the next time, stay present, stay curious, and keep leaning into the art of emergence.